Back on MorningLine, thanks for joining us, talking some politics this morning with Professor Schwartz from over at Vanderbilt. It's always good to have you, sir. Thanks for coming on. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
Hey, let's see. We've got a phone call here. We'll take, before we get into some of the other topics I was touching on, with David. David, good morning. Hi, David.
Hey.
Hey, go ahead, Dave.
I would like to know if the $1,200 stimulus check is included what Trump signed for the unemployment stuff.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, that's going to be separate. Now, the $1,200 has been spoken about in the discussions about a new stimulus payment. The president didn't touch on any of that at this point. He wasn't talking about checks at this point. He was talking about unemployment benefits and some of these payroll tax and student loan deferrals along those lines, right?
That's right. That's right. He's not the stimulus, the checks to everyone would require congressional authorization.
Yeah, and some of what I've seen, though, and I understand where David was coming from on that. What's passed so far in the House, and again, they're going to have to work things out with the Senate, which is looking differently, is something very similar, I think, Professor, to the first stimulus check. In fact, maybe even expanding a bit. Some were thinking it may be more limited on your, earnings requirements and things like that, but that it's in that ballpark, and maybe even an expansion to paying more for younger people along those lines, at least in the Democratic plan.
Yes, the Democratic plan is more generous, and that's why it's $3 trillion. So it is a very generous plan.
Okay, but no way they're going to get that on the same page, I would imagine, with the Republicans right now. Do you sense at all that even though things broke down, that they're going to get back together, I don't know, maybe with some nudging from the president to agree on something?
I'd like to think so. I think there is some movement there, but I honestly, given the political environment these days, it's hard to say. There does seem to be some digging in of heels as well. The rhetoric is not always that constructive, so it's hard to say. I think people do acknowledge there's a need to do something, and that's why the president, of course, acted. But that I don't think we're there yet.
Well, give me an idea then. What is the political dynamic, maybe with regard to Republicans and Democrats, setting the president aside because we know what he's already done? But I mean, I would think in general, if you are a politician right now, and we know we've taken a step back with COVID. It's like if things had still been going great and getting better and better and better, I'd say forget it. We don't need another stimulus check. But obviously we've backslid badly and people need more help. How is it not in the favor of almost every politician to advocate some type of new stimulus to help the constituent?
Well, you're right, it is. That doesn't preclude the fact that there are ideological differences between Republicans and Democrats. Democrats do want, for example, more help to the states, and that includes blue states that are in debt, and which many Republicans think is partly their own fault, and so that they shouldn't be bailed out by the federal government. It also includes the Democratic bill also included some stipulations on vote by mail and absentee voting. It included some other issues that Republicans didn't want. And as you mentioned earlier, some Republicans don't think another $600 is a good idea, as the Democratic bill held, because they think it is a disincentive to people to go back to work. So there are real differences between the parties over what's the best way to go ahead, and that when you're talking $3 trillion versus $1 trillion, the Republicans, that's a pretty big difference.
Yeah, that is a biggie. You wonder if there's a middle ground they can reach. Let's go to Angie next. Good morning, Angie. What's your question, Angie? Hi, Angie.
Benji.
Oh, I'm sorry, Benji. I apologize. It's a man. Go ahead, Benji.
That's all right. I was just wanting to inform you, the unemployment is not like welfare. It's not like when you get on it and they just keep paying you until it ends or whatever. You got to keep looking for a job, and if you turn down a job, you get kicked off. So I don't understand the Republicans talking about it's an incentive to not go to work, because no, you have to be looking for work as you're filing each week, and you have to report all that. So that's just all nonsense on what they're talking about.
Well,
and then
go ahead.
On the situation with the Republicans in general, Trump has just taken over the party, And there is no real Republicans. It's Trump conservatives. And that's what they even ran on in the Senate here in this state. They weren't conservative Republicans. They were Trump conservatives. So they're going to be a mess, especially if he loses, on what the Republican Party's going to wind up doing to get themselves back together. So I'll hang up and listen to your comments, and please spread the word about the unemployment. It's not welfare where you get on it and just keep on and keep on.
No, well, he's right about that. You're supposed to continue looking. Now, you can argue about, well, how hard does someone have to look? What proof do they have to provide? And how much vetting was being done when we have hundreds of thousands of people out of work collecting this benefit? But he's right. If you remember, there were some things here, Professor, where there were folks who their jobs came back and they were worried about going back for fear of exposure to COVID. And they thought, well, if I don't go back, can I keep my unemployment? And the answer to that was no. If your job is back available, you have available work to you, you go take it. If you choose not to, that's your right, but then you lose your benefit. And he's right. It's not a welfare check. You only get this to carry you till you get your next job. But I sometimes wonder how much vetting was actually, how hard were people really, if they didn't want to find another job, really truly looking, though I believe most people do want to work. Yeah.
No, I think that's right. I think that the suspicion is, of course, because the 600 was fairly generous in many states as an added to the unemployment benefits, that it might have discouraged some people. But the caller was correct. You have to keep looking. And most people, I think, do want to go back to work. The COVID, of course, did at a different level if they were in a job that was vulnerable to infection.
Yeah, it's crazy because like here in Tennessee, I think the maximum you can get from unemployment in the state of Tennessee, which I think is pathetic, is $275 a week. Okay, that's not much. So the 600 really boosted them up. But in a state like Rhode Island, where they get like $700 a week, you combine that with that 600 that you were getting from the federal government. That's $1,300 a week. That's people making, okay, basically about $5,000 a month on unemployment. You could see how that was more than a lot of them were making in their regular job, and the incentive to go back to work simply wasn't there.
Yes, yeah, I think that's certainly, and it does vary across the nation, and this is part of the problem with trying to do a one-size-fits-all program.
And what did you think of what he said just about, the president, and more than a few people I've heard at the time say he's an entity unto himself. Yes, he is a Republican. He's in the Republican Party, but he's different than many of what you would might be called a traditional Republican. What did you take from what he said along those lines?
Well, he's absolutely right that the party has been remade in the image of President Trump. It's a lot of its beliefs and ideological settings before 2016 have been changed. The Republican Party was for a long time a free trade party. Now it's a tariff party. The Republican Party was open to more immigration. Now it's a build the wall party. So it has been transformed. Trump has had decisive effect on the levels of the party in much the same way as President Reagan really transformed the Republican Party in the 1980s.
Interesting. I'm sorry, Mary, who did you say we had on 3? Good morning, Linda. What's on your mind, Linda?
Nick, I agree with you about the job thing. I know of people that you go online now and put down your job, and they sometimes put down places they know of that's not hiring. But the other day, I went through Lebanon down Hartman Drive, and they were 4 places begging people to work with sign-on bonuses, like $500. So there's jobs out there if they want them, but if they don't want them, they're not going to get them.
I hear you. I mean, I think she's right about that. There are jobs available out there, and the question is, are people applying for them? And if they put down for them, look, I don't know of too many people that have been on the unemployment benefit that have had it revoked, okay, because they haven't been looking for work. You just don't hear about it. I'm sure it happens. And sometimes if they get notification of a place of employment saying we're ready to bring people back after we closed for a while, then that's a red flag, and they can say, hey, your job's open, you have to go back or we pull it. But aside from that, if you were just laid off and you can't go back to that place, I don't know of a lot of people having their unemployment pulled because someone says you're not looking hard enough. I don't hear about that.
Yeah. No, that's right. It's not certainly in a time of mass unemployment, it really is unlikely. And, many people, of course, are facing this issue with their children being home
Sure.
Because of schools and that creating another problem with taking a job. So there are a lot of issues out there right now because of the pandemic.
Yeah, no kidding. Listen, we'll take a break on that note. We'll come back, our final segment. Lots to touch bases. We can take more calls as well. 737 with the great professor over at Vanderbilt. Are you at home or are you in your office?
I'm at home.
Okay, well,
home.
you can never tell because, of course, as I would expect with you, Professor, there's a lot of books right behind you. So we'll take a break, and we'll be back with more with Professor Schwartz right after this.